Hey guys! So I know I haven't made a YouTube video in a really long time and I'm really sorry, but it's just Christmas break and getting back into school have been a little difficult, but I'm back. I'm ready to talk about something. If you couldn't tell by the title below, I'm making my coming out video asexual edition. So yeah, let's go! So when most people talk about coming out, they talk about their experience of when they first learned or understood that they were their orientation. Well, for me, it was a little more difficult because looking back at my childhood, I realized that I was asexual, but it took me so long to figure out that asexual as a sexual orientation even existed. So let's go back to elementary school, I guess. When I was in elementary school, I was a very quiet kid. I've always been a quiet kid, very, very shy. And I never really got along well with people my age. Don't really know why. I still don't a lot of the time. Most of my friends are juniors and I'm a senior. So in elementary school, you know, you have those like marriages where like the kids are like, we're married. Well, it was funny because a guy when I was little asked me to like marry him when I was little, and I was not interested. I was like, I'm not holding your hand. I am not. No, it's just not happening. And back then, like, it was seen as weird. You know, it's weird. And then you get to 4th and 5th grade, you know, the end of elementary school, the beginning of middle school. People are starting to, you know, date and have relationships, and that's all fine and dandy. I just didn't feel that I needed to be in a relationship. And I guess that kind of contributed to me realizing that I've always known it just takes time. So middle school, here we go. So I started to understand more of who I was sexual orientation wise in middle school, 6th grade. And it was scary. So in 6th grade at my middle school, you have to watch what everyone calls the movie. Basically, it's a sexual education movie that teaches you about sexual intercourse. And of course, to a sex-repulsed asexual, I was not having it. So what our teacher sets as the guidelines is you have to watch the movie with no fidgeting, you can't look away from the screen, and you can't like laugh. And if you do any of the 3 things, you have to come in another time and re-watch the movie and finish it because they'll kick you out of the room. So of course the whole time I was trying not to look at the TV, but then I'm like, but I don't want to go sit through this a second time, and I wanted to put my head on the desk, but I'm like, I can barely handle this the first time, yet alone another time I would die. So I kind of grin and bear it, but it started to make me realize that it didn't make me uncomfortable because it was like an uncomfortable topic for a middle schooler. It made me uncomfortable because I realized that just anything sexual turned me off, made me really like nervous. It made me really uncomfortable. It felt like I was cornered in a situation. And then I started doing research because in 6th grade was the year that I realized I like girls. And that's not an easy thing for a middle schooler. So at first I'm like, I'm lesbian, I'm gay, what are my parents gonna think, what are my friends gonna say? Because all my friends that I had at the time that could deal with me being quiet were girls. So after labeling myself as a lesbian for a little bit, I realized I can't be a lesbian because at the end of 6th grade, the summertime, I really had a crush on this one boy. A hardcore crush on this one boy. So I'm like, well, I can't be gay, but I can't be straight. So where do I stand? And that's when I started doing my research. Like most kids now who are in middle school know about the main, like, they know about being straight, gay, bisexual, and some kids know about pansexuality, but some don't. It's kind of one of those things that you might learn it, you might not. But I only knew about being gay and straight at the time. I knew a little bit about bisexuality, but I didn't like know the definition. Like, I hear people say it. So I did my research, which is something I highly, 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 highly recommend. Please do it. Even if you're not asexual, doing research on sexual orientations can help you. Maybe you already know your sexual orientation, but it helps you learn about other people's. By doing research, the first thing I found was bisexuality and pansexuality. I define pansexuality as sexual attraction to anyone, no matter the gender, whether it be female, male, gender gender non-binary, transgender, any gender. Gender is not in the equation. Where I defined bisexuality as sexual attraction to male or female. So at the time, I thought, not knowing anyone in the gender non-binary transgender spectrum, I believed that I was bisexual. And that was what I set myself as, secretly in the closet, of course, for my 7th grade year and most of my 8th grade year. And then my friend came out to me as gender fluid. And they were my best friend in the whole wide world. I loved them to pieces. And I had a crush on them for a while. So then, going back to my definitions, back to my research, because it's been about a year, I'm like, pansexual. That fits. Sexual attraction to everyone. That's great. But during that year span time, I realized more and more how dating just didn't, not that it wasn't appealing to me, but it just didn't seem necessary. Whereas by 8th grade, 9th grade, most kids are wanting to get in relationships, be in a relationship. I was not one of those kids, and I'm still not really one of those kids. And after doing some more extensive research, I looked at pansexuality, and I started to feel happier. I started to like it. I started to realize that this is great. I'm finding my path. I'm understanding who I am. And then comes high school. My 9th grade year was the year I finally buckled down and identified as asexuality. And defining yourself as something you don't know much about can be really scary, trust me. I did my research and I realized for being gay, being straight, being bisexual, being pansexual, you have to have sexual attraction. And my friends are always going off about these guys and girls that they like, these people that they like, and they're describing it in a way that's just not appealing to me. And I realized that I don't have sexual attraction for any gender. And that's when I'm like, is that a thing? Or am I just weird? Am I just a late bloomer? Is it coming late? But then I did my research again, and it was actually harder to find than I thought. I looked up sexual orientations, and most came up with straight, gay, bisexual, pansexual. Some of them had other definitions, but none of them had asexuality. And the ones that didn't, the definition they put didn't fit because it's not the right definition. But now I know better, and middle of 9th grade year, I decided I'm asexual. I looked at myself and I'm like, you need to stop being afraid to identify yourself as something you don't know a lot about. It's okay. You're gonna be fine. And that's all you need to tell yourself. So then I stayed in the closet until my junior year. Junior year was the scariest year of my life. But being a senior now, I realize how happy I am. Yeah. So coming out to friends, I came out to friends at the beginning of my junior year, like really close to the beginning, September, October, and most of them were accepting. My best friend Devin was so accepting. They came out to me a little earlier before I came out to them, and it was just, we're closer than ever now. Some other friends like Tyus came out to me when I came out to her. It was great. I felt the support that I wasn't the only one struggling in the closet. I wasn't the only one hiding a fact about me that was kind of important. But on the other hand, there were some friends that I did lose, and I can't even call them friends anymore. Because to be a friend, you have to accept your friend for who they are. No matter what their orientation is, what their favorite food is, what their favorite color is, you need to accept them for who they are. If you cannot accept a fact such as sexual orientation or who they want to date, you're not friends. You're not even close. Because I realized that the friends I lost weren't worth it. If they made me feel like crap about who I liked and who I wanted to be with, or in this case, who I didn't like and who I didn't want to be with, they're not worth the mental destruction. They're not worth making you feel like crap. So I lost a couple of friends along the way, but the friends that have stayed with me are amazing. They are the most supportive people in the entire world, and I couldn't be happier. But then came my worst fear: family. That was something I wasn't sure how they're going to react. It's different with asexuality because there isn't a lot of publication on it. There's not a lot of research done about it because it's not a very common sexual orientation. Most people like someone sexually, but there's some of us that just don't. So junior year, as most high schoolers know, is your first year at prom, or junior prom. In my school, we are such a small school that we have seniors and juniors have a prom together. I went to prom my junior year with someone who identified as gender fluid, but my parents know them as female. So my dad picked me up from work one day and we were driving home and he asked me the question about prom. So my dad picked me up from work one day and we were driving home and we were talking about prom, how I was really pumped for it. It was a great time for me to get to hang out with the person I asked to go with me. And the first thing my dad asked was, well, do you like the person that you're going with? Because he knows them as female. And he's like, if you do, it's okay. I completely accept it. I'm curious. And it was the first time that I think my dad actually showed interest in my sexual orientation. And I kind of wished that they'd start the conversation because people who have come out know how hard it is. People who are in the closet trying to come out really know how tough it is. You feel like it's a brick. You feel like they're gonna not accept you. So by the time he asked this, I dated the person I was going with and we broke up. But I still wanted to bring them to prom because we were best friends. We're still best friends. We're closer than ever right now. So I told him that we dated, but we broke up, but I'm still taking them to prom. So when I said this, I had to explain asexuality. I had to explain to him that I'm not a lesbian. Because the first thing both of my parents thought was that I was a lesbian because I liked a girl. I dated a girl without them knowing. And it's the first thing that parents think, you know, when your daughter likes a girl, lesbian, but you have to specify. You have to tell them about asexuality, and that can be difficult because asexuality is a topic most people don't know about. My mom is friends with people who are gay, bisexual. I think she even has a pansexual friend, but she didn't know about asexuality because it's not talked about. Most people don't know about it. So being asexual, I understand the pain you're going through. It is difficult because when you come out to a person, you can't just say, I'm asexual. You have to say, I'm asexual, which means, and give a definition. So my dad completely accepts it. He's so great about it. It made me so happy. And then 2 days later, I come home from my dad's weekend because my parents are divorced. I come home and we're eating dinner with my mom. My brothers leave to go in the living room to play video games because they're done with dinner, and it's just my mom and I at the table. And she's, Emma, we need to talk about something. And I'm like, oh, here we go. I'm about to die, right? I'm like, what did I do? You know, what did I do? And she's like, I want to talk about this note. So at our school for Valentine's Day, we can give out little candygrams with like a note attached to it, and your friends can write you notes like Happy Valentine's Day or like here's a treat. You can give it to your boyfriend or girlfriend. And what happened was my friend Julia wrote a note saying, have a fun Valentine's Day with your name. I'm not going to say their name, it's going to stay confidential. And and my mom knows this person as female as well. This is the same person I went to prom with. She's like, what's this about? And I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, look at the last line. I'm like, oh. I'm like, I'm so dumb because I left it on the table without picking it up. So I explained to her that we dated and that we broke up, and I also had to explain to her what asexuality was. And my mom was also very accepting she was great. I'm lucky to have two parents that were so great about it. I'm lucky to have siblings who ask questions about it, who are willing to get to know me more personally, and it feels good. However, coming out has also been a challenge. At school, the school I go to isn't very accepting when it comes to LGBTQ plus kids. So I came out to asexual with my friends, then family, and then I decided if people ask, I'll tell them the truth, because I'm honest. I identify now as demi-pan-romantic, the pan-romantic being that I have romantic attraction to everyone no matter their gender, but the demi part of the demi-pan-romantic means that I need a strong bond with the person before I will date them or go out with them or like be their partner in a sense. And just a little side note, if you are coming out as asexual, it's okay to be afraid. Trust me, I was just as afraid as you are. I was just as scared. I didn't know what people were gonna think, especially when you come out in a town where you don't know anyone as asexual. Don't be afraid. If anything, try to find a gay straight alliance, an LGBTQ plus group that you can go to, because you are part of the community. You deserve to be accepted, you deserve to be respected, and that's it. So to anyone who's coming out there, not just to my asexual viewers, but it's okay to be afraid. But one day, you're gonna have to step over that hurdle, because coming out has made me 10 times happier. I don't have to struggle and try to contain myself and restricting what I do because of my orientation. You're gonna be fine. And if you need to email me about any questions, I'll put my email down in the description. I think it's there already. You can find me in my email or Twitter. I'm always on Twitter. Oh my god, it's an obsession. But I hope this video helped. I hoped any of you can get something out of it. Just sorry again for being so late on videos. I'm going to get better. I think I'm doing a collab actually. Collab! I think I'm doing a collab this Friday. I don't know when I'm gonna get it up. Probably edit it and put it up maybe Tuesday of next week. I think we were going to try and do the Bean Boozled challenge. Oh my god, I'm so scared, guys. Help me. But anyway, that's a wrap. I hope you guys get something out of this video. Probably not, because I'm lame, but you know. But any questions about asexuality, ask me. Completely free. But guess that's it. Bye, guys.